In 1998, life was complicated. I had just graduated high school and found myself tangled in a relationship with a girl who carried more issues than I could handle. My mom disapproved of the relationship entirely. She laid it out clearly: if I stayed with her, I couldn't live at home. So, with the impulsive mindset of a teenager, I decided to live in my car. I parked at the gate of a field near her house, a quiet, rural area surrounded by woods. It seemed like a temporary solution. Each night, after visiting her, I'd walk through the woods, cross the field, and climb into my car to sleep. Her 2 dogs would usually follow me to my car, keeping me company for a while before trotting back home. But the quiet rural nights didn't stay peaceful for long. One night, as I made my way to my car, I heard it, a faint but unmistakable sound of drums. Not the kind you hear in a band, but deep, rhythmic beats, like tribal drums. The sound echoed faintly through the still night, cutting through the silence. It sent a chill down my spine. Then, I remembered the stories we'd heard as kids. Rumors about a supposed cult that once had landed near a dead-end road just a mile away. They were the kind of stories we used to laugh about, but in that moment, alone in the dark, they didn't feel so funny. My fear took over, and I hurried into my car, locking the doors behind me. My car was old, but its back seat folded down into the trunk, creating a makeshift bed. That became my hiding spot. For the next few weeks, the drum beats became a nightly occurrence. Then things escalated. One night, instead of heading back to her house, the dogs lingered by my car. I woke to the sound of low growls and felt the vehicle shift slightly as they moved underneath it. They seemed to be circling, as though guarding me from something, or someone. My pulse quickened. I didn't dare look outside. Another night, I climbed into the driver's seat and prepared to crawl into the back. That's when I noticed it. A silhouette in the field I had just crossed. It was a dark figure, human-like, standing still against the dim horizon. My first thought was that it was her father, maybe catching me sneaking around. I flicked on my headlights to see more clearly. But the field was empty. The figure was gone. That was my breaking point. I couldn't spend another night there. I drove 10 miles to a rural church parking lot and started sleeping there instead. The relationship didn't last long after that. I moved on, both emotionally and physically, but the memories stayed with me. Almost a year later, I struck up a friendship with an older woman who lived near the dead-end road where I had parked. One day, curiosity got the better of me, and I asked if she'd ever had any strange experiences there, or had trouble with the supposed cult that used to live nearby. She gave me a strange look and said, "The cult's been gone for over a decade. They left before my family moved in. But, yeah, we've had odd things happen." She told me how her daughters would often see shadowy figures darting between the trees. And then she said something that sent a shiver down my spine: "Sometimes, at night, we hear drums, like Indian drums. Not often, but it happens." I stared at her, speechless. She continued, recounting a particularly unsettling moment. Her youngest daughter, just 4 years old at the time, was sitting by the stereo one day with her ear pressed against the speaker. The stereo wasn't on, but the little girl was listening intently. Someone asked her what she was doing, and she innocently replied, "Listening." When they asked what she was listening to, she looked at them and said, "They say, there is justification in hurting your parents." The woman shook her head as she finished the story, brushing it off as kids' imagination. But I knew better. The sounds I'd heard, the shadow I'd seen, it wasn't the cult. They had long since left the area. Whatever remained, however, was far worse. Something sinister had claimed that place, and I had unknowingly walked right into its territory. I've never gone back.